Look, with TRT, people go on various doses for various reasons. Look, some people can tolerate 200 milligrams a week, a 1x week injection or a 2x a week injection. These guys end up with raging libido, killer erections, and like they're super anabolic. Others have to be down in like the 100 milligram to 120 milligram a week of TRT dose range because they're hyperresponders or they're sensitive to estrogen. Or on like the higher doses, mid-high doses to get high hematocrit, side effects, sleeplessness, insomnia, and all that stuff. But look, some people have to be square in the middle with an estrogen window, by the way, that is extremely narrow and has to fall in a very specific sex-friendly range. For these type of individuals, estrogen above that range, not good sexual function. Estrogen below that range, not good sexual function. They'd have to be in that narrow window. And here's the interesting part. Guess what happens when they reach that window? Libido comes roaring back. They start having erections in the middle of the night and in the morning, and then they get stay erections, right? The type of erections that are induced psychogenically or by touch or otherwise that do not like Venus leak into oblivion. Sex feels normal, feels great, like it's not forced. You know, you have people with these issues where they've got to focus excessively to keep sex going. The climax is hard. Sex becomes effortless when the estrogen range is reached. But here's the really interesting part. Before they got there, like in this hypothetical of reaching the perfect zone in estradiol, even if they're on a slightly higher or slightly lower dose than their like estrogen sweet spot, they had full-blown libido dysfunction, genital numbness, erectile dysfunction, lack of nocturnals, lack of morning erections, failed penetrative sex. Yes, the window is narrow, and that's a devastating place to be. But I can assure you this, your sweet spot typically does not require, as long as you're not on extreme doses and the numbers are very extreme in one direction or the other, doesn't require large increment changes to reach the Goldilocks zone. That said, for these estrogen-sensitive people, which is the majority of men on TRT need to be in that tight window, that window in picograms per milliliter is 27 to 40 picograms per milliliter, right? If you're having problems with estrogen, trying to dial in AIs, you recognize that when the estrogen somehow goes down, when you still have enough androgens, erections, libido are better. The window to shoot for is 27 to 40. All right, so that said, let's talk about dose ranges. Dose ranges of TRT. Let's talk about the real practical doses out there on the street and where estrogen is likely to fall in those ranges. Look, in the 175 milligram to 200 milligram a week dose range of TRT, assuming you've got a minimum effective dose of HCG, which in my opinion and studying of the research is 62.5 to 125 IU of HCG per day. With that dose range, you're likely going to end up in the 50 to 85 picograms per milliliter of estradiol. Now, usually, I'm not talking about the outliers here. Usually that lands a person in an imbalanced state in terms of sex hormones, lower end SHBG, so you got a ton of free hormones that are mucking everything up and hard to actually control. And it puts people in a place where like they're likely going to need an ancillary, masteron, primobolan, proviron, perhaps, aromatase inhibitors, Arimidex, Aromacin, 3x daily dosing of like a gram or two of calcium D-glucarate, and all this convoluted stuff. In rare cases, in the 175 to 200 milligram dose range with low normal or like low end aromatizers, estrogen is going to land like 40 or 50, but that is the minority. And that range estrogen is usually too high. 175 to 200 is just not where you're going to naturally balance out at an estrogen where you've got great sexual function and you're in the sweet spot. Let's talk about the 150 to 175 milligram a week of TRT dose range. Look, from there, compared to the 175 to 200 milligrams a week, the E2 is definitely going to lower. Usually that dose range lands people in the 40 to 60 picograms per milliliter range of estradiol. And sometimes that works for people, all right? But disproportionately it doesn't. You might be fine, but things are not optimal there. Look, erectile dysfunction, libido mismatch, those are the primary problems that happen when estrogen's out of the sweet spot. Again, even in the 40 to 60 picograms per milliliter range of estradiol on a TRT dose of 150 to 175 milligrams a week usually requires manipulation of the protocol. Again, AIs, DHT derivatives, like proviron in that case actually tends to work And if you want to take Proviron, okay, it's a little bit convoluted, might have some hair loss, but if that works for you, it works for you. With estrogen between 40 and 60, that's a great use case for Proviron. All right, now look, on the lower side of the spectrum here, we're going to get to the best dose in just a second, so stick around. We've got the 100 to 120 milligram dose range of TRT per week. This is where people typically land estrogen between 15 and 25 picograms per milliliter, which is good. I mean, that is a good place to be. For some people, it will be great, assuming they have enough androgens, they feel strong, they feel anabolic, and sexual function ends up fine. But for other people, it's not enough androgen signal, man. If you're in the middle there, call it like 113 or something. It might not be enough androgen signal to create the full sexual experience, like things like spontaneous erections or stay erections. I think you want to optimize your TRT protocol to include as many of the positives as possible, including stay erections. Right? That 100 to 120 milligram range is going to work for some people. And then for others, like they're going to need to take 10 milligrams of Anavar a day, right, to get the extra anabolism. They're kind of flat at the gym. The energy is lacking. Sexual function is fine, but they're missing something. They're missing something on TRT, right? It can work for some people, but if it doesn't, the best TRT dose range to land estrogen in the sweet spot and have fully online sexual function while you have the other benefits of TRT, like the anabolism, the energy, the sustained brain function throughout the day, is 130 milligrams to 140 milligrams a week. That is the best dose range to fail-safe land estrogen in the Goldilocks zone. And that dose is best done every other day, every third day, or every fourth day, right? It doesn't often work out doing daily injections. And with a minimum effective dose, again, you don't want to be dosing any more HCG than you have to, unless you can tolerate high estrogen, in which case higher doses are usually more fruitful. Minimum effective dose, again, 62.5 to 125 IU of HCG per day. You do that with 130 to 140 milligrams of testosterone a week, the E2 is going to land 27 to 40 picograms per milliliter. I can promise you that 27 to 40 within that zone is the fucking sweet spot. For over-aromatizers, all right, on that dose, they're going to end up in 40 to 50 picograms per milliliter. And that is not great. Could probably take Proviron to get that estrogen signaling down a little bit. Maybe you dial in that way. But really, you have to look at fixing why you over-aromatize. For normal aromatizers, on 130 to 140 with the minimum effective dose of HCG, you land at like 33 to 40 picograms per milliliter of estradiol. Again, that's going to be the zone, assuming the androgens are up there, top of the reference range, slightly supraphysiologic. Again, this is the zone for people. For low normal, call it low normal aromatizers, you're going to be 25 to 35 picograms per milliliter of estradiol. If you're a low normal aromatizer, 140 is literally perfect for you. Yeah, that 25 to 35 range is the range within the range. I mean, there it's like you only have to make small minor adjustments to get yourself at that estrogen number that really works best for you. Either of the latter two, right? Normal aromatizers, 35 to 40 estradiol, low normal aromatizers, 25 to 35. It's going to be the sweet spot for libido, erections, sustainable stay erections, sensation, and climax. All right, use the 140 as a fail-safe dose. Unless you front load, run the estradiol, run the TT, run the free T 6 weeks after starting that protocol, and adjust accordingly if you have to. Most people are going to be in that range, and things are going to be great, but like to dial it in perfectly thereafter, you might need to adjust things one way or the other in very, very small increments. But you're there. You've just done so much of the legwork, so much of the hard part. You've saved yourself in some cases with these guys that take years to dial in. Years, they're sitting spinning their wheels, trying all different doses, trying AIs and shit. I mean, it's like 2 years go by and they still don't have great erections and libido on TRT. Right? You follow this strategy of the fail-safe 140 dose, you're going to either be dialed in perfectly or a hell of a lot closer than on any other protocol you've ever run, at which point you got to make small adjustments and you dial in permanently. Last thing, the caveat there, the thing to watch out for is strictly the HCG dose. That is the biggest variable. You start doing 250 every other day, 300 every other day, 500 3 times a week. You're not going to land where predictably I'm saying you should land at 140. I mean, you can be up there at 55, 65, 75. Typically, things are going to go south there, right? So you got to dose the minimum effective dose of HCG. Nothing more, nothing less. Look, boys, for 7 years, I've been coaching people on TRT and doing single session consults. Everything that I have learned, I have poured into high quality TRT products aimed at giving you great libido, great erections, great sensation, great anabolism and energy on TRT. They're all in the description of this video at livecortex.com. Mastering libido and erections on TRT. a digital playbook showing you how to dial in on every ester. Okay. Get that down below. Mastering Testosterone Cream for Libido and Erections. This is a video course down below. The most prescribed ester and most popular ester, Mastering Testosterone Cypionate for libido and for great erections. I did a video course on that too. Down below, brother. Got a source list, self-explanatory. Anything you can think of, down below. Lastly, I have closed the 3-month and the 6-month coaching options. They are fully booked from the discount that we ran in April, but still what is open is the single session consult. All right, it's a 45-minute call with me. It is a protocol generation for me. It's 3 to 5 different adjustment routes thereafter, targeting the restoration of sexual function on TRT. You can book it in under a minute. I'll be on the fact-finding call with you within a day. And then the newest addition to the consulting roster is a TRT protocol audit. I will audit every part of your protocol. It's a full 8-point audit. You can go look at the details within the TRT protocol audit page and book that in under a minute, livecortex.com. All right, my brother in test. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you. Do me 2 favors. Like the video, bro. Takes you a second. Means more than you can ever imagine to me personally, and in the back end metrics of our channel and how many people see it. Like, dude, it fucking matters. Please hit the like button. Sub to the channel. If anything I said resonated with you, this is all we talk about. Lots of content in our history and forever content coming. Live streams every Saturday. I'd love to have you on board, man. I'll see you in the comment section. All right. Otherwise, on this note of estrogen being in the sweet spot, I'm going to leave you with a video right over here that I think you should watch that helps solidify this idea for you so you can stop spinning your wheels on TRT. All right, I really want you to watch it. All right, man, kick ass, rock on. I'll talk to you in the next one.